Welcome, everybody. This is session week 4, and the two chapters for today
Hi, Linda.
are the creator and, oh, hi, Virginia.
Oh, good.
And so the creator and the players, and we tackle those. But before we do that, welcome, everybody. And I hope you participate with comments and feedback today. And even those of you who haven't shared your picture, I know you're here and you can, turn it on and speak up whenever you're ready. So any questions or comments about the material from week 3 that we did, which was the other 3 laws? Any of those not make sense or are hard to understand, or any comments about them?
Closed captioned.
No? Okay. All right. So this chapter about the game creator has a very interesting history. So I wrote most of the book before this chapter was written. And I asked myself, what is somebody who's reading this going to ask that I haven't talked about? And they're going to ask, well, if life is a game, where did it come from? How did this all get started? Who created this game? And so I decided one day I need to tackle that. And what happened is this chapter just flowed out. I mean, I would just call it inspiration, because I didn't have it planned ahead of time. I didn't have various bullet points or whatever. And when I was all finished, I just said, wow, where did that come from? And of course, I figured out that must have come from that part of me, which is the piece of all that we all have, the spirit piece. So that's how that part came to be. Does it match or mesh with what all the other science and religions say about where everything came from and how we got here? Bits and pieces tie in and look like they fit. It doesn't look like any of it. I mean, as far as I can tell, it all seems to fit. The interesting part is that the concept of this all original supreme being that created the universe as a playground for us. That's how the game got to get started. And so that's the main concept. And that in doing that, the all being created bits of themselves, like they took pieces, and that's who became humans, with all of the characteristics of all. So the droplets have all of the power and the knowledge and the eternalness of all, and that includes the freedom to decide to come take on a body and play here on Earth for a while. And as part of that, to make that a more interesting adventure, the body-mind part deliberately chooses to not remember or know everything which the divine part knows, so that we get to learn it all over again, each time around, differently. So that's the basic concept of all, and it also explains why we as humans like to make things, because that's the nature of all, to create things, and we're part of that same energy, and why we like to play games and sports and put puzzles together. It's because that's part of our nature, because that's part of all's nature. Anyway, that's the basic concept of the game creator, how the game got started. What's your feedback on that? How does that seem to fit? Larry?
This kind of touch on what I said this earlier, and I'll tell you how I kind of jump over the hill. When you or anybody else tries to explain a concept like this, it's almost like explaining who's the real you, and who are you? And we all know intuitively, at least I'm going to say we all know, I know that I got a soul, right? We can call it a soul, an atma. You can call it a wild goose. I don't care what you call it, but there's something inside you. It's a little different and a little bigger than this body and this soul. I mean, this in this face and the hair and all this working that we do. And you don't quite know what it is, but it was here when you were 3 years old. It was here when you were 30 years old, and it's here when you're 75, and it'll be there when you die. And it's the same thing. So the more you try to explain it, you can almost say what it's not a lot easier than you can say what it is. And the more you try to explain it, you kind of get into a big circle, at least I do. And all of a sudden, say, hey, man, you know what? It might be easier just to believe this thing and move on. And I think about when I was a kid growing up, and if I said this story, pardon me, but I engineer and I like to know how things work. So if I don't think how things work, then I'm not really interested in learning how to operate it until I know how it works. And so I wanted to get a car. I wanted a driver's license like every boy wants. And I'm saying, I wonder how the hell this internal combustion engine, I didn't even know you called it that, how it works. And I bought, for Christmas, my dad bought me a visible V8 because I expressed that to my dad one day. The visible V8 was a plastic engine. You had to put it all together. It had pistons that went up and down, and it ran on a battery, and lights went off. It was very nice gift. And I learned how it worked. And then all of a sudden, well, I can drive a car now, which I couldn't, but it helped me, Larry Gibbs, learn how to operate a car when I knew if I pushed on this foot pedal, it's going to make the brake shoes expand and stop the car. And I intuitively knew all that. So anyway, it helped me. Now, so that's how I use every problem to solve them and to understand what's going. Being an engineer, that's what you do. And then I got to computers. And I tell you, I don't have a damn idea how these things work. Not a damn idea. And I got to be, I'm 77 years old. You know what? I don't give a damn how they work either. I'm not going to fix them. I'm just going to use them to the best of my ability. And I've jumped over that, whatever it was. Is it wisdom or stupidity? I'm not sure, probably a combination of both. So I don't need to learn how these things work, an explanation for how to get my answers on a computer. I just want to use it and take advantage of it. That's what reminds me of this system we got here, the creator system, and all the things you talked about. It's like, yeah, you can, if you want to try to figure out how all this stuff works, and then go ahead and figure it out. But it's a difficult thing to explain. And I think you did as good a job as anybody, but there's still 1,000 questions. And unfortunately, I can only think of about 2 or 3 of the 1,000. The more I thought about it, the more questions would come up. And then you start answering all the questions, you forgot where you got, how to get on this story. You see what I'm talking? So anyway, you did a great job. And it's a good concept to understand, but I think it's more of a concept to utilize rather than understand. I love you.
Anybody else?
Well, can I talk? How do I do it?
Sure, you're.
Oh, unmute. I'm unmuted. Oh, good, good. Well, I
fine.
was gonna say, I don't think there's any more fun game than asking that question. You almost get a different answer every day, which is part of the fun of it.
Mhm.
So, but I appreciate that you kind of put yourself in a bind trying to figure everything out, because it's more like it's not so much scientific as it is art. This finding out what the truth is. Although it is scientific too, but not from my perspective. I don't know how to do that.
You know what I heard, and I mentioned this last week. I think I did. I was listening to this commencement exercise by commencement address by Jim Carrey, the comedian. Look it up on the internet. It's a tremendous 25-minute talk. Got great insight, and he was talking to the university that that teaches Buddhism or meditation, or I forgot the name of it. One of the gurus started it, and I don't even know where it's at, Utah or something. And Jim says, you know, what is reality? Yeah, that's a good question to have. What is reality? So I'm looking at a wall back in my office, and what do you see? And what we both see out there, if you were sitting right here looking at that thing, you'd see the same thing visually, but your interpretation would be totally different. You know, because you see a picture you really like and you focus on it, and you see a picture you don't like, and I see it all differently. So reality, you see something with your eyes, but you make up the reality. And we do that every part of your life. I got to get a water in a minute. But the main thing, if you're going to make it up, and you agree, everybody makes it up. If you're going to make it up, why don't you make up something fun? Why don't you make up something that makes you happy? Don't go make up all this stuff that makes you sad. Neither one of them are exactly reality, but I think that was a pretty good thought.
Yes,
Let me grab a water.
yes. So welcome, Yvonne and Virginia. You want to say something? You're working on unmuting yourself, right? Yes.
Am I on?
Yes, now you are. Go ahead.
Okay, so Duncan, you refer to all as a conscious personality. Do you see it as one entity or a team of entities, or how are you?
Well, I don't really think it matters because I think it's one energy that encompasses many. So it's really a combination of both, I would say.
I'm talking about in the beginning, before we were all created.
In the beginning, I think it was one.
It was one. Okay.
I mean, that's what I think, but
Okay.
that's
Right.
just an opinion.
Right. Okay.
But
All right.
I used the plural because we don't have a genderless singular pronoun. That's a fault of our language. So I've got to say her or him if I want to have a singular.
Well, what about,
and
you
I
mentioned
don't do that.
it. You mentioned it.
But it's usually referred to non-persons.
I don't
So
know.
we usually use it to refer to a thing. So that's why I don't want to use it. And if I used it, I didn't mean to.
No, you didn't use it. You explained why you weren't using it. I want to compliment you on comparing our conscious mind. Am I skipping ahead?
No, you're doing fine, whatever you're doing.
Okay, you compared our conscious mind to the computer memory chip, which was really an outstanding comparison. I thought that was really very helpful. And also you referred to the conscious mind as the kitchen where thoughts are cooked up. That was really great. Your language is great and the concepts are great. I thought they were very helpful. Using the computer as an example was very helpful.
So that goes on. That's the next step, which you introduced. So that's fine, is about us players. So if we are a piece, a spin-off, a droplet of all that decides to enter a lifetime, take on a body and enter a lifetime here, then we become the players in the game. And when I studied hypnosis, I discovered these various parts of the human being, psyche, everything. And because of my computer background, I saw how very similar it was and realized that the computer engineers who designed computers were very shrewd because they made them like us. Of course, we existed before the computers, but the parts of a computer are parallel, mirror the way we're made very well. So our body is like the computer hardware, and our senses are like the input and output devices, keyboard, speakers, screen, mouse of a computer. And our mind, our conscious mind, is like the application software, which is what they used to call it when you had a desktop. And then it became a laptop, and then it shrunk down so the computer is this size. And so they shrunk the name from application software to apps. But that's what it's still the same thing. It's a program that does basically one function. So each one of your apps is designed to do a specific thing.
Mhm.
And that's the way our conscious mind works. It works on one function at a time. All the people who say they could do 2 or 3 things simultaneously at the same time, either they're not putting their conscious mind to it, or they're kidding themselves, or not doing very much of either one. But we can really only devote our conscious mind to one task at a time. And so the way that we manage to do things like talk and drive at the same time is because once we learn how to do a pattern with our conscious mind, then we send it down to our subconscious as a habit. So like when you were learning to walk, for instance, you consciously, as an infant, saw your parents and other adults moving around on 2 legs, and it looked like they could move a lot faster than you could crawl. So you decided you wanted to do the same thing. So you tried to stand up and walk and fell a few times, but eventually, encouragement from your parents probably, you managed to walk, and then you managed to do it better and smoothly. And what is walking? Walking is the sequential firing of various muscles in your legs and feet. And so you learn that pattern of smooth sequential firing, just like Larry's engine going around, the pistons have to fire in a certain order to turn that crankshaft. They can't all fire at the same time. So you learned that pattern, and then that pattern went down from your conscious mind to your subconscious as a habit. What is a habit? A habit is a program. It's a program of neuromuscular firings. And so right now, whenever you want to walk someplace, the first thing that happens is you decide with your conscious mind where you want to go and that you want to walk. And then you invoke your subconscious habit pattern of walking to make the muscles do that. And so the same is true with many, many things in our life. We have developed a pattern that becomes automatic and subconscious that we don't think about. We don't have to think about because it's like an autopilot. All we have to do is decide. Same with driving a car, which is a very complex set of muscles and reactions and everything. But we can do that easily while listening to music or talking to somebody. So we can, those are habits. And then, so we've covered the subconscious is also the operating system, like the operating system on a computer. So what does the operating system on your phone or computer do? The answer is it does a whole bunch of behind the scenes necessary tasks that you don't really need to be involved with. For example, there is one little piece of the operating system which constantly checks your internet connection to see if there's a new message or a mail addressed to you. And if so, it grabs it off the internet, puts it on your computer. There's another piece that's managing the memory. So every time you run a program or open a window, it consumes a certain amount of memory. You have a limited amount. So there's a program behind the scenes recovering the memory from windows and programs you've closed to reallocate it to something to be available for something new. So that's two little routines of the operating system. There are dozens and dozens of them, and that's what makes a computer work. Same is true with you. In your subconscious, you have dozens and dozens of, I like to call them controls. They're sort of like a thermostat. The way a thermostat works is that you set the temperature that you want. And if the temperature goes above that and you have a working air conditioner, then it kicks on the air conditioner to bring the temperature down. If it goes lower than your set point and you have a working heater, it turns that on and raises it back up again. So if you set the temperature at what you want, you don't have to intervene again because the thermostat and your other systems take care of getting the temperature you want. So our operating system is like a massive control center full of these controls that regulate all the functions of your body, your heartbeat, your blood pressure, your metabolism, your autoimmune, all of those. And you don't have to worry about them. If something doesn't go right, you can adjust the controls just like you can adjust the thermostat. And so part of natural healing methodologies involve adjusting those when you need to, and you can do that. So enough of me talking about that. That's a brief cover of the main sections of the players and how they're constructed, and the fact that that we all give up our memory that we come with. The droplets all come with their knowledge. They're God. The droplets are God, so they have the infinite knowledge and the infinite lifetime, but give that part up for our physical bodily experience here. So questions or comments about all of that? Go ahead, Yvonne. You're muted. You're muted, Yvonne. Click the little red microphone. We can't hear you. Sorry. You've got to somehow turn your speaker on. Turn your microphone on. Not getting the sign language. I'm sorry. Let me see if
But unlike the computer, which only does one task at a time, it time slices. It never does two things at once. Do you think that our bodies do two things or more, many things at once? Or are we time slicing? We're only doing one thing at a time.
So I think our conscious mind is doing one thing at a time. Our subconscious is running all of these control programs, like the operating system in the computer. So in the operating system, it's running many tasks.
It is, but it's only doing one at a time.
That's true, but it's doing them very rapidly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, time slices, but in
Slice.
our body, your analogy could fail because maybe we can multitask truly. Have many apps running and not time slicing. They're really multitasking.
I'll tell you what, next lifetime, you can check on that answer to that question between lifetimes and you'll know it for the next time. I don't know the answer. That's an interesting concept. Yeah. So we have energy and our energy is very powerful. Is it infinite? It's infinite in the spirit part of us. In the physical part, I think we're limited by physicality.
My volume is very low. I can't hear you too well, but I want to tell you, I've always felt like I was a very advanced robot, and I have electrical shocks and they go up my neck, and I know, wow, I got another electrical. I thought this since I was a little person. I used to think we are like robots. And so, yes, I agree with you. And I think that we are advanced robots. I'm a nurse and I have seen us shut down, and we shut down and whatever is inside of us leaves, and then we decay, as you know. But it's quite interesting. And I found that when we shut down, the little light that's us is gone. So that's an interesting theory also. But also I was involved with studying the brain at one of the major hospitals for mental care. And when we started weighing people on the moment of death, and they become lighter. And we think it's the shell of the brain because it becomes hollow up on the moment of death. We found that out too because we did brain resections. We were studying diseases of the brain like Parkinson's and different diseases that attack the brain. And anyway, it was really interesting that we become lighter and it leaves. And so we're not only advanced robots, but we're also able to leave and go from one to go to where we're going, and hope it's a good place.
Well, I like to think of it as we create reality.
Are you controlling the volume? I tried putting my phone up to way high, but
I'm
I
not.
can't.
I
Is there a
can't.
way to go up and down on the volume?
On phones, usually it's the thing on the side, but I don't.
I did that. I did it all the way up to full on. I
Somewhere-
don't know. It was working fine until I unmuted myself.
Well, mute yourself and see if it works good
Unmute
again.
myself? That's right. I could do that. I can't find that. I can't find that on my.
I
I'm
can
gonna have to
hear-
get my computer
I
fixed.
can
My
hear just
computer
fine.
needs to be fixed. A new battery. Okay,
Somewhere-
now I'm muted. I can't hear.
Somewhere in the settings, there might be something.
Something's happened.
the phone.
All right. Well, I'll just try to listen really good. How do you think about this being robots?
So I don't think we're robots.
Advanced robots.
What I think,
Very, very advanced.
what I think is that because we create reality with the energy of our intentions, we, mankind, has created
Free will. We have
creators,
free will.
computers and robots to be like us. So it's not that we're advanced robots, it's that the advanced robots we've modeled on us. I mean, if you look at all the robotics work, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make hands and fingers that work just like ours, so that they can pick up very delicate things and so forth. So we are making the robots like ourselves. We came first. That's what I think.
Or like dogs. The police have a robotic dog that they can send into places. They're just not making people robots.
They're kind of dangerous dogs too, by the way. They're war dogs.
Okay,
Or people, yeah.
Virginia?
Um, Duncan, I'd like you to expand on the concept of super consciousness. That's intriguing. You know, I think people have always heard of the conscious and the unconscious mind, and you talk about the super conscious mind, which is a connection to other people when they've left us, and which also, I guess, seems to contain the powers of your concept of all.
Yes,
And actually, you say we can heal ourselves from anything. So these are all fascinating, intriguing concepts of this super conscious. So I'd love to hear you expand a little on that.
okay. So when this droplet of all takes on a body, the conscious and subconscious, the physicality of the body, the emotions, those are all part of the physicality, which the spirit piece, which is the all droplet, takes on. And so the superconscious is really just another name for that all droplet piece that, like you said, you're correct there. And so what is it? What is its power? Its
Exactly.
power is the power of all. It's the infinite power that is available to us. So it's our spiritual part. So we've experienced, everybody experiences tapping into that at various times. Like when you have inspiration, or you have a knowing or a voice or something that just tells you, this is right or this is not, or I should do this. That's that super conscious spirit part of you. If when you connect with somebody else, like just about everybody has in their family has somebody who's had something happen to them, and other people know it at the moment it happens. It's so how is that energy is communicated by the superconscious of the two people. Or when you're about to phone somebody, or you're thinking about somebody and about to phone them and they call. That's happened to me many times. And so that's what that is. So can I explain it much more than that? Not really, because it's like Larry said, it's that part of what we know is there. I mean, I haven't used the term soul because I think soul is too abstract. It's like a thing, an it, and that isn't what we have here. What we have here is personality consciousness, is what our spirit that enlivens us is.
Well, this super consciousness, can we consciously tap into it? You mentioned that we can heal ourselves, or we can be in touch with people who have left.
Mhm.
Um,
Can we consciously tap into it? I think
can we, yes. Can we make it happen, or it happens at random, or?
what happens? What do you?
Well, let's take the two examples I took from the chapter, which is one, we can heal any disease, or
I
or
think that we can take the steps to turn it. Usually, so in the Eastern interpretation of disease, that there is something in the person, the body, which is blocking the normal energy flow and normal healing that the body should do. And so in healing, what you do is release whatever that is, discover it if you can, and release that. And the life force, which is the all droplet within us, has the power to run the body perfectly. And that's the way it should be running. So usually something has gone wrong that brings on the illness or the problem. And that we can consciously reconnect with the superconscious and heal it. That's what I think.
So it sounds like you're saying we could use our conscious mind to investigate and find out what the problem is, release it. Yes?
Yes, I think so. In
Okay, and what about the part of getting in touch with people who have left, who have passed?
So that happens both deliberately. So you can deliberately do that, and it will happen when they choose as well. So it will seem random or not under your control sometimes as well. So people who have left can get in touch with you when they choose as well. So you've got choice on both sides. It's like who places the call. You can place a call or they can place a call. And in either case, the two of you can connect. So some of it will happen at your choosing, and some of it will happen seemingly random for you.
And
Okay.
how do you do that with your thoughts?
Yes. I mean, essentially, that's what prayer is. Prayer is focusing, using your conscious mind to focus your energy beam for a particular purpose to some source of other source of energy, somebody who's left, or to all, or a saint, or something like that. Yes, and so prayer is a conscious activity that does that.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much for elaborating on that.
That's all my opinion, by the way. I mean, I don't have the scientific book behind me that proves that. Anybody else want to ask a question or make a comment, or tell me how you think all this sounds or fits, or what's wrong with it, or anything?
Can you hear me? I don't
Yes.
know if you can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, well, as you know, I'm very religious. I was raised with ministers for 6 generations in our family. So I think you're describing exactly what happens. But there's also I think, a higher being still involved, or someone who is so we can't even understand it. And so you're not going to be able to explain it because nobody can really grasp it, because we don't have the ability to grasp it, the concept of that kind of power. But I think you're on the right track to have us have a better life by focusing with prayer. And if we have a lot of people praying for us, it seems to work. And
Yeah.
we get cured. So yes, and I saw my own sister almost, killed right in front of me. And I said, oh, no, and you're visualizing it, and you actually see it. I saw it in slow motion that she avoided being killed. And it was just like slow motion. It was amazing. I've never seen slow motion before, but when I saw that, I thought, oh, wow. And I'm not going to forget it. I think we're made to forget things sometimes, and we forget, and we think, oh, did that really happen? But it did really happen. So, there's things in our life that we're made to forget, I think. And I don't know why that is. But if you write it down and you keep a record of it, you won't forget it. So, and I like that part where we can communicate with people in our past lives. When my mother passed away, she was here in my house here, right where we lived, Duncan. And she lived to be 95. And the night before I could hear her, because my bedroom's next to hers, she was talking to a lot of people. So the next morning, and she was feeling good when my sister was picking her up, and she was all dressed up and hair done and nails done, just looked as happy as could be. and she asked me to ring my Uncle William. And I said, I'll have to ring heaven, Mom, because Uncle William's passed. And she said, oh, and she smiled this very mischievous smile that she smiles when she's up to something. So I said, Mom, were you talking to Uncle William? And she said, yes. And I said, well, what about Grandpa and Grandma? And she says, yeah. What about Dad? Oh, he was at the desk. He was writing. Well, this isn't just from my mother. I heard this. I worked in Max Care, and many, many times I could tell who was passing just by who was in their room and who they were trying to introduce to me as their husband. And I would check the file, and the husband had died 30 years prior. And I would not know where to sit down in the chair to talk to the patient because I thought I might sit on top of him. So these are things that I experienced in working with death and dying. But I absolutely know that we have a connection to people that pass. And I think children see the angels because the angels come and they can leave this earth very, very, very comfortably. They're just accepted that they're going to be leaving and the angels are coming for them. So it's just something I've visualized and seen and talked with children and had my heart broken because I worked in oncology, pediatric, and it just, it's you have to deal with a lot of things. But
Thank you.
I like this idea that we can heal ourselves, and I absolutely believe that. And I am a holistic nurse now. Don't believe in too many pharmaceutical medications. I believe in what we put in this body is what we need to put the right things in our body to get the right result.
That's right.
And we have to have positive thinking. And I liked where you were focusing on making your legs work. Every day I move on a 1, 2, 3 basis. If I can get it done in 1, 2, 3, it'll get done because I'm getting old now. So I do things in 1, 2, 3s.
Judy,
Anyway, I think you're great. And by the way, I think your concept of looking to find joy in this life is probably why we're here in the first place. I think the all power, I think this was created as a perfect place for us to go have fun. This is a beautiful earth. This is absolutely gorgeous earth.
that's right. That's our playground.
Yeah, the playground, you've got it.
Did you want to
Except
say?
that we've messed it up. We've got to get back on track and get it fixed. Oh, we're the ones that mess it up. Anyway, so I don't know how we're going to do that, but I hope we're working toward it. Maybe that what do you think about these AIs? That kind of concerning to me that we're developing things that are kind of destructive in a way. That's not good. So
let's not go
go
there.
down that path.
Anybody else have some comments or questions? Carol, you haven't said anything today.
No, I haven't. I'm just loving listening. I zoomed in late. I wanted to hear Netanyahu speak to the Congress, and I'm just filled with absorbing a lot. I appreciate the comments very much, and I admire the way you've organized your book, and it's such a pleasure to read through what you have as a review for each day that we've met. It's really admirable. I'm definitely of the faith devotion belief that what you say does not disallow that in any way, but and I like your word all, but I always come back to using God because that all my Christian, Jewish, Muslim friends understand what's meant, and I like to me, it feels just right to keep trying to draw wisdom from the Old and the New Testament in the Bible, and try to draw parallels. Anyway, I'm just sitting here thinking these things. But I appreciate hearing very much what everyone has to say.
Virginia?
Duncan, at one point when you're talking about the superconscious mind, You use the word divine. Divine, our superconscious is the eternal divine droplet that took on flesh to become human, who will return to pure spirit when our body dies, who connects us to divine intelligence and all non-physical past, present, and future. I think that was the first place I saw the word divine. Is
It
that?
probably was, yeah.
Uh-huh. So I thought that was good because it connects your book to previous concepts that people have of God and the divine. So I thought that was a good thing that you put it in there.
Well, one thing that I didn't put that I thought about putting, and maybe I at one time had, was listing a whole bunch of other names for all. So, you know, you've got God and Allah and Buddha and many names. And so
Yeah.
it was interesting to find that there are 10,000 religions. I think there was that many. I thought there was like 9. No, there's like 9 major ones or something, but there's very, very many different ones, particularly in places like China and India, where different locales have their own variation of religion. So anyway,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, so when I first read about all, I immediately changed it into God. I use the term because that was, the religion, from the religion that I grew up with, the Christian religion. And so then I appreciated your using the word divine later on, because then there was that connection for me.
Yes, and I think that's appropriate.
And
But
that's why I went back, some of my writings, for a long time, I used the word all because I didn't want to offend anyone with the word God, but I like using a word like God because it's my constant reminder that this is all we're doing is a mystical step to understanding, and somehow but anyway, you can do that with all, you can do that with all too.
so one of the reasons that I didn't use God is because there are some associations with God as vengeful and punishing,
Judgmental.
and that do not fit. And so I avoided those by coming up with all.
Yes, that was a good idea, because for a lot of people, God is punitive.
That's right. And all is certainly not punitive.
That's because of the bad seed. When I was a young nurse, we didn't know about DNA, and DNA was in Genesis, and it's sort of patterned as called the bad seed, and that's why we had a God who destroyed the city of where there was a great deal of things that were supposed to be bad.
Sodom and Gomorrah?
Then the Holy Spirit was sent to remediate that and to help us to overcome a bad seed. Like if we're a bad person and we want to change, there are bad people. There are evil people in this world. So, if you've worked in areas, they really are evil, bad people. So the only way they're ever going to be able to change is to have their change of their DNA. They're even looking into altering the DNA to keep us from having criminals in the prisons, because there is something on their DNA that they have that's different. And so we have that involved.
So Yvonne, I think that's off topic here.
I know, but that's what supposedly is the reason we had a vindictive looking God. But when we have the Holy Spirit to change that, we no longer have
Okay.
to be a bad person. We can change.
I don't have that in this concept like
No.
that.
Okay. Well, good. I understand that. And
Okay.
hopefully, and we are good people. Everybody in this group are probably looking exactly good, looking for the joy of this life and the playground that we're in.
Okay,
Sometimes we have to watch out for the people who are not so good, though.
all right. So I have some
What do we do about them?
important things to tell you. So the first one is that I have my cowboy shirt on because I am about to leave and go to a ranch
Oh.
where I'll be gone for a couple of days. So the recording for this will be probably issued on Saturday, but it will be there, but it won't be there tomorrow. And of course, next week we'll be doing week 5. So there's a number of chapters for that. And one of them is very important, and it's all about emotions. So it's the emotion scale. So we introduced emotions. I didn't really talk about emotions very much, but we'll talk more about that next time. And the emotion scale. So that should be very interesting, and what you can do about where you are on the scale and what it tells you at any one moment. So I'm going to have to
Hi.
end this session.
And you and Eva are having a good
Bye.
time. Are you going to the ranch too, Eva?
Yes,
We have to we have to meet somebody.
You guys know how to live. That's all I can
and-
say. I'm
and-
their neighbor.
and
They're
they are-
always
they are-
going someplace.
they
That's
are-
so
they are-
wonderful.
The people that are going to drive with live 45 minutes away, and we have 30 minutes to get there.
Oh,
Love you.
bye-bye. Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
Duncan.
time. Bye.
Bye. Bye,
Thank
Eva.
you.
What
Thank you,
is the
Duncan.
assignment
Bye,
for
Carol.
next
Thank you.
week?
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye-bye. Bye, Virginia. Good to
Bye.
see you. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Carol.
Eva.
Bye,
Bye,
Eva.
Duncan.